Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. Now, if you can play rhythm guitar okay, basically if you can strum your way through the songs without too much difficulty, but you're wondering how to go about becoming a lead guitarist, then stick around because I'm going to show you. You can basically turn learning to play lead guitar into 6 very easy, manageable steps, and that's what we're going to go through today. Let's have a look at step number 1.
Step number 1. Learn the scale.
It's not uncommon to hear quite well-respected and very experienced guitarists saying that you shouldn't bother learning scales because it will make your guitar playing and your lead guitar sound cold and clinical and sterile and just too schooled, if you like. But if you then go on to ask them, well, how do you know where to put your fingers in order to play a lead guitar? They will then show you some kind of little patterns or moves that they use on the neck, which are basically scales. The thing is that they've kind of learned them through trial and error, through figuring stuff out off records, and haven't probably realised that what they're actually learning is a scale. So what I'm going to do today is save you all of the trial and error, all of the kind of blind alleys that you might go down in order to figure out where to put your fingers, and just cut straight to the chase with a really useful little shape that will enable you to play a lead guitar. Let's crack on with that then. Okay, so as you can see, this scale is called the A minor or C major pentatonic scale. Don't let rather technical sounding terms like that intimidate you. All it means is that this scale can be used to play a solo in a song which is in the key of A minor or a song which is in the key of C major. How you tell what key a song is in at this stage with this particular type of scale, the pentatonic, is very easy. All you do is trust your ears. There will be a chord somewhere in the song, somewhere within the chord sequence that you're playing, that seems to make everything sound complete or resolved or at rest. That is the key chord, if you like. If the song is in the key of A minor or C major, then you can use this scale. But what happens if it's in a different key, say the key of D major? Well, play a C as a bar chord. Hopefully you know how to play bar chords by now, so find how to play a C chord as a bar chord, and then look at how far you have to move it for it to become a D chord, and you'll see that if you move the C chord up 2 frets, it becomes a D chord. A C bar chord moved up 2 frets becomes a D chord. So that's all you would do with this scale. Move the whole thing up 2 frets so it's centered around the 7th fret rather than the 5th, and you will have the appropriate scale to play a solo in D major. And that's basically how you transpose this particular pattern from one key to another to suit whatever chord sequence or song you happen to be playing over. Now let's have a look at this scale being demonstrated on the guitar.
Step number 2. Play the scale over the backing.
Okay, so now you've learned the scale, it's time to hear what that's going to sound like over the backing track. Hopefully what this will demonstrate that as long as you stay on those notes, it's impossible to play something that sounds bad. Check this out.
Step number 3. Add gaps between the notes.
Okay, hopefully that demonstrates that all of the notes in this scale sound pretty good over the top of this backing track. However, it does still sound like someone running up and down a scale, so how do we turn it from that into something more musical? Well, imagine you're a singer or anything else, any other source of musical notes which is lung powered. you've basically got to stop for breath. And if you can mimic that on the guitar, it immediately makes it sound just that little bit more musical. It just nudges it a little bit in the right direction. This is the scale once again, but played with a few gaps in between the notes. Check it out.
Step number 4, vary the length of the notes.
Right, well, you saw there when I started adding gaps in between the notes that it does help to make it sound a little bit less scale-like and a bit more musical. You'll also notice that when I pause on a note, it has the effect of lengthening that note. So what we're going to do now is accentuate that a little bit by varying the lengths of the notes. There's going to be long notes, short notes. I'm just going to be running up and down the scale again, but I'm going to be adding gaps and I'm going to be varying the notes in terms of length. Here's what it sounds like.
Step number 5, vary the order of the notes.
And that begins to sound just that little bit more like a guitar solo and that little bit less like a scale. But this next stage we're going to do is really the thing that clinches it. What we're going to do now is break out of this up and down the scale kind of thing, and we're going to vary the note order. In this next example, I actually start somewhere in the middle of the scale, I think on this note here. So varying the order of the notes and kind of doing a little bit of what I call zigzagging, where you kind of go up a bit and down a bit and, you know, just round in circles and repeat a few notes and stuff like that. That is what really takes that scaliness away from it. Here's what it sounds like.
Step number 6, add slurs.
And the final stage to getting it sounding like a really good guitar solo is to add slurs. Now don't worry if you don't know what they are, I'm about to explain. Okay, so what are slurs? Slurs are basically what happen when you go from one note to another note without really playing the second note. Probably the most obvious way to get into playing slurs is to slide from one note to another. So for instance, if I wanted to end up on this note, I could slide from this note, which is the note below it in the scale. There it is. I would normally play it with that finger, but if I know I want to end up on that note there, I would go for this note with that finger and go like that. And you can play a slide in either direction, so I could go like that or like that. And it's entirely up to you how much emphasis you give to the note that you begin on and the note that you end on. So you could go, or you could go like that. So that's a really accessible way to playing slurs. Another form of slur is called the hammer-on, where basically, let's say I want to go from this note to this note. instead of going that note and then picking that note, what I can do is go like that. Now I'm not picking that second note, I'm just literally hammering it on with that finger, like that. And you can hear that it gives a slightly different character to the sound as opposed to just going. Now the opposite of a hammer-on is called a pull-off. So let's say I was wanting to go from this note back to this note. What I can do here is I can use this finger to pluck this note. So I can go like that. Notice I'm not just coming straight up like that, because that doesn't result in any sound. What I'm actually doing is, as I say, using this finger here to pluck the note held by this finger here. So I can do this like that. So if you combine hammer-ons and pull-offs together, you get something called a trill, which would look like this. The final type of slur is probably the trickiest of all for novice lead guitarists. It is the string bend. Basically, as we play through this scale, there are 3 notes which we can bend easily. There are more than 3 notes that you can actually bend, but there are 3 that can be bent easily. And that's this one here. And what we're going to do is, you can see I'm lining all 3 fingers up in 1 finger per fret kind of arrangement, and this note here is the one that we're going to bend. These 2 fingers here are just to give this finger a bit of strength, and push the string up from underneath until the pitch has risen by 2 frets. And you can check that against the note that you're aiming at, which is 2 frets above this one here. That's the one we're bending, that's the note we want to end up on. Like that. It takes a little bit of getting used to, and you can get away without using these in guitar solos. The other 2 notes which will bend by that same 2 fret amount are this one here. Normally you would play this with your little finger, but I tend to play all my bends with this 3rd finger here. Again, 1 finger per fret behind it. Don't worry that these 2 fingers are holding down what would be wrong notes if you were to play them, because you're not going to hear them. This is the finger that produces the note we're going to hear, and there you go. And let's bend that up again by 2 frets like that. So there's the note we're aiming at, and you can hear that that bend essentially takes us up to that target note 2 frets higher. And the final one is this one here. Again, in the normal course of events playing through the scale, you'd play this note with your little finger, but I'm going to use this finger here because it's stronger. And 1 finger per fret behind it again, and remember, always push the string up from underneath. If you try sitting on top of the string and pulling it up, it kind of snaps out from underneath your fingers. So push it up from underneath. And once again, we bend this string up so that the note rises 2 frets in pitch. And those are slurs, and they make any solo just sound that little bit more human and interesting to listen to. And now let's hear what those slurs sound like when we put them into a solo. So there you have it. I think you'll agree that we started off with a scale and we ended up with a guitar solo. As long as you follow these 6 relatively easy steps, I mean, when we say easy, you got to remember that it is going to take practice. It's not going to happen without some work put into it. But now you have a pathway that you can follow, a plan that you can stick to, and you will be able to play a lead guitar. If you would like some tailored one-to-one lead guitar or rhythm guitar or any style of guitar tuition and you live on Teesside, then give me a shout via the details at the end of this video. And if you like this video, then please remember to hit subscribe. And if you like a nice bit of lead guitar playing, if that's what floats your boat, then you might want to check out my new album. It's called The Whiskey Made Me Do It, and it's available on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, Google Play, all the usual outlets, and I'll stick some purchase links in the description below. I'll also stick the jam track that we've been using in this lesson in there as well, a link for you to download it. And there you have it, folks. That's how to play lead guitar in 6 easy steps. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all again next time. Bye for now.